Thank you very much for a very interesting introduction. Thank you very much. I'm very humbled by this. And I get, oh, okay. So, well, I guess I can make use of this. I do not have a presentation because I think I'm just supposed to sort of like talk here for about 5 minutes, and then the other speakers can also share the insights from COP29 this year, including some youth representative, which I'm very glad to see at COP29 this year. And yeah, so we can definitely hear more about from their perspectives as well. So I am at COP29. I usually think of myself as wearing three different hats. I'm a climate scientist first and foremost. So I care a lot about how food system transformation and sustainable forestry can help mitigate climate change and other forms of environmental pollution. So this is like really core to my research. I'm going to share a little bit about this in the next few minutes. My thought on this and what I've taken away from COP29. But at the same time, I also see myself as a climate advocate. I am a board member of Friends of the Earth and also a board member of Cedar Foundation, where both of the organizations really help to promote climate action in the real world, so to speak, including with the government, businesses, civil society. And of course, I also see myself as a climate educator, trying to promote sustainability and climate education at both the university and outside in the public as well. So in my hat as a climate scientist, I have been quite disappointed, I have to say, about the kind of things that have been discussed or committed to by different governments in terms of food system transformation. As we have already seen,胡老师已经and then he has already talked about how methane is a very important greenhouse gas from important contributor to climate change, but of course, different people, different countries have signed different pledges to reduce methane, so on and so forth. But the fact is, 1/3 of all greenhouse gases, including methane, of course, and a lot of CO2 and a lot of N2O of global greenhouse gas emissions are actually from the global food systems, and no quantitative targets really have been set by different countries. And of course, a lot of momentum is there to transform the energy sector, but very little still have been done on trying to really get food system emission going on. Well, there is some good sign, and we have discussed how different countries have committed to a US $300 billion annually by 2035. But then we all understand this is only part of what is needed to really help developing countries transition toward climate neutrality and resilient food and energy system. And indeed, even just to create sustainable and resilient agri-food systems that are low carbon or carbon neutral, and as well as having a low environmental impact or resilient to the impact of climate change requires about $1.1 trillion per year. And thus, even just to help the food system to transition towards carbon neutrality and resilience, the committed amount right now is really not enough. But while there's a good sign, countries have come together to sign the Declaration on Reducing Methane from Organic Waste, which is a good first step, obviously. But again, I look at the documents and stuff, it's like, oh, okay, every country should do something together and they'll try their very best, but no quantitative targets. And so I would really like to see how all of these can be translated into more quantitative targets. And I would just like to mention, as in terms of climate, as an climate advocate and educator, I was very glad to be able to speak alongside Plato and other speakers during the China Pavilion event, talking about how to help businesses and governments transition towards carbon neutrality through climate finance. I'm not a finance expert, obviously, but then a lot of people have been asking the same questions, like now Trump is in power, and what does it mean for climate action? And what I've gotten from COP29 is that people are still,
it is the big elephant in the room, obviously. Everybody is like, concerned at the back of their mind, like what it actually mean for climate action, how much more obstacles there could be in the future. But the overall consensus is still that even if some governments are not enthusiastic, or they can even like pull out of the Paris Agreement, if some governments are not on board, well, the momentum is still there because you have the businesses and you have the civil society. So the businesses all see the importance of actually transitioning towards carbon neutrality because of the business risk, because of the the likelihood or the returns from the investment in low carbon infrastructure and low carbon businesses. So the momentum is definitely there. It doesn't require the governments to really tell people to do stuff. The business worlds, they have market signals. They have various business motivation to actually do climate action. So I can still see big roles of civil society and businesses that can play in climate action. I would just like to mention what we discussed during the China Pavilion events. In particular, civil society can really help in climate transition, especially in, for instance, university, of course, researcher, academia, we are a big part of this kind of transition sort of big players because we have the research data and innovation that can really provide businesses and governments with the tools and data to assess, the future projections of future climate-related risk to really enable effective action. And the tools, the technologies, the incorporation of innovative ideas, AI technology, the latest technologies are definitely to help businesses to make evidence-based action and planning are definitely core things that we academia can do. And of course, we are very good at education and public outreach. Through education for sustainable development and climate action, we are still the key players to help students and the public to enhance their cognitive, social, emotional, as well as behavioral changes in their understanding of climate change and help promote climate action as well. And finally, civil society include a lot of NGOs. A lot of us here actually. I see some of us here. Actually, we have been working or helping out in different kind of NGOs. Those basically players in the civil society play a lot of roles, as Plato has actually talked about earlier today. We're still very crucial in raising civil awareness to really drive the society towards economic prosperity, social equity and inclusion, and environmental protection and resilience. On climate change, we can help citizens to really switch towards ethical consumerism and behavioral shift. But as Plato has talked a lot about this today, it's not just about raising consumers' awareness, because we all know, consumers play a very large role driving the demand, but the businesses themselves, we can really motivate private investors and businesses to engage in environmental, social, and governance, ESG investing, and also promote divestment and shareholder activism to gear businesses away from high carbon production activities and to really green the supply chain. Today we have heard so much about greening the supply chain, really divesting away from high carbon activities and also ESG investing, of which green finance play a very large important roles. We have heard a lot about the exact mechanisms. So my message is really about how we, civil society, universities, NGOs can really come together to really translate the latest scientific discoveries, technological innovations, including financial innovations, into actionable practices, so that governments, businesses can really, together can transition toward carbon neutrality. So this is, I think 5 minutes already, and yeah, this is what I'd like to share. All right, thank you.
So now we also have two very wonderful students who we have spent time in Baku in COP29. So I just also invite these two very distinguished representatives, student body. So if you were to work for the experience, include. First one is Ms. Chen, Myae, Yamon Tai. She's fine. Okay, so she's from the Department of Mechanical and Automation Engineering. Of CHK, and of course, both of them actually are also our Museum for Climate Change ambassadors. So I'll give first the floor to Ms. Chen. I'll introduce Katy, please. Yeah, please.
Hi.
Yeah, you can do this. Good.
Yep.
Very good. Keep going.
Hi everyone, my name is Chen Chen and I come from Myanmar, yeah. So I'm a UST student in energy and environmental engineering. And I was really grateful to be selected as one of the representatives for CHK to participate in COP29 because my journey there was quite a bit of ups and downs because of my visas, but then I really had a fruitful journey, even though I had to participate for only 3 days and a half, which is very limited time, but I had a quite a enjoyable time learning all those and navigating through where should I participate or contribute. So my contribution would be very small, but then I believe is a very tremendous growth for my personal and environmental advocacy growth in terms of that. What I learned most is that as you all know, the outcomes of COP29 is not as enduring or not that delightful as everyone we hoping for. And then, but I was also really sad to see other developing countries not eager enough to contribute for what they have done in tackling climate change. But then after reflecting myself and also learning from my peers and also other representatives from Hong Kong, I believe that hope is a really big contributor in what we are going forward and driving us forward. As one of the, as I remember, he's the former chief executive of the Hong Kong Observatory, Mr. Lam. He told me and Katie in our last sharing that hope is very fragile, so we should love what we are doing, and I believe that could also drive us forward because for me, I don't really have a focus in my climate change doing projects. For me, whatever is good for the environment, I love the environment, so it's a really motivation as long as it's doesn't endanger the environment. So even with the projects I'm doing on campus, we all are consumers. So I believe we will even if we don't share the love for the environment, we are always consuming food, either water or clothing systems. We could have a more sustainable choice in doing these. So I believe if as long as we have share a common ground, I believe we can achieve much more in combating climate change. Thank you.
Right. So now we have the second ambassador from CHK Super Crew, Ms. Katy Dong. Katy is actually our own Department of Geography and Resource Management. She's an MPhil student here. So I'll invite Katy to give us some sharing.
Great, thank you very much. So first, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for this opportunity to be one of the student representatives to the ACMO. It is truly my honor, and this journey has been so fruitful. Like it's so perfect in many ways, and I couldn't ask for more. And it taught me in many ways, like broadened my variety, my lungs, as well as empowered me to continuing what I'm doing. And so, as first a little bit of my self-introduction. So first, as mentioned, I am one of the MPhil students studying here. So it's really great to also be able to share in our department. And also, I also participated in some extracurricular activities in terms of climate change sharing and public awareness raising. For example, being one of the student ambassadors at the Jockey Club Museum of Climate Change, and I'm also the founders of organizations such as Upside Clothes, which organizes workshops that allows people to bring their own unwanted clothes, and then we help them to change it into reusable items, and also for some video channels that talks about sustainable lifestyles and sustainable products as well. So my journey to cope is that I discovered that the most important thing is that the world is filled with opportunities. So for me, it's a magical experience because pretty much every day I experience a different role. So for the first day, I was pretty much as what is said on my badge, I was an observer. I was quite overwhelmed by the amount of information that is actually going on at the venue. There's so many things you can participate with. So on the first day, I pretty much just observed and tried to see what are the possible opportunities. And on the second day, I was able to join the youth organizations such as Youngo. So I understand that actually for youth, you can actually join these groups to actually voice out what you wanted to push for. And they actually have this opportunity to sit in the negotiation rooms and to express what is wanted by the youth organizations. And on that day, I also participated as an observer in the first mitigation negotiation which took place at COP29. And on the third day, starting that, I assisted in an exhibition by another organization called the Plant Technology Alliance. So helping them to assist them with the exhibition really allowed me to talk with so many people and discover that actually everyone around the world, there's so many organizations that are fighting for this goal in terms of climate change as well as sustainable development. And they're looking for opportunities to collaborate and to really bring our world into something that is much in a vision that is much better. It actually empowers me so much that to believe that actually we people together can actually come together and to unite and act and actually push for something. Because I remember that actually I was taking Professor Xu's class once and then asking this question, do you think carbon neutrality is actually possible? Actually asked this question because by that time I was really not sure and I didn't really have this confidence in this world. It just seems that people are talking, but there's really not much action that was taken. But this trip actually gives me so much confidence is that we have the ability to do that, but we just need to reunite together to fight for this common goal. And on the fourth day, with thanks to Natalie, she actually introduced me to this organization, to this group of people, and actually gave me this opportunity to do some sharing at the Golf Pavilion to also talk about my experience and to also to find that there are a lot of people, especially youth, that are also having this common goal. And there's many more things that I experienced, so that's the reason why I said it's truly magical when so many things happen in these 7 days that actually gives me a lot of confidence to continue in my path in terms of the climate journey. So the most things, one of the most important things I've learned is to conclude is that it's never too late to act, and it's also never too late to act early. So that I really wish that with this experience, I can come back after coming back. I'll have the opportunity to share my experience to more students so that I can empower more people to come join us as early as possible. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much for the two ambassadors from CFP and also because I'm seeing Natalie here. Natalie was our student some years ago. Now she's studying in the same program that Michael Kingwater and I graduated with a PhD from Princeton Public Policy School. I also invite Natalie to give us some share. She also went to COP29 as well.
I didn't prepare for anything, but yeah, so I went to COP, this is my third COP. I went to my first COP during my master's at Oxford, which was in 2019 in Madrid. That was kind of the start of my climate advocacy journey because back then COP was still a very small process, but now COP has grown so much bigger, and I think this year is the second most attended COP in COP's history with around 60,000 people registered. And last year in Dubai, it was 80,000. So I think it's interesting to see how the COP process has evolved from a purely institutional process by the UNFCCC into a much larger community space with a lot of civil society participants and corporate action standing high, especially with mobilization efforts from different parts of the country, different countries and different private sector actors. So this year I was actually working with a lot of the stakeholders here, including Amos. Last year we helped produce a documentary with RTHK, which is a media channel in Hong Kong, to help share the stories of Hong Kong's collective power in these unilateral, multilateral processes. And this year we did the same, and we also did a highlight on how Azerbaijan, as a Belt and Road country of China, like what are the new green initiatives? So outside of COP, I also visited the largest utility scale solar power plant in Kabustan in Azerbaijan. I was quite surprised because Azerbaijan is a petro state, which that was actually the first ever big scale solar plant that was connected to the grid. Meanwhile, like we know that solar panel prices have dropped drastically, but states like Azerbaijan just adopted it. So we're seeing a lot of momentum happening, but there also needs to be a lot of push, be it financial incentives or government regulations to help really push for the green transition. So even though like something that might seem very easy in our part of the world, there can still be a lot of institutional barriers. So we were speaking with the local Azerbaijan people, and they were saying that the government have never experimented having the solar, like renewable energy grid connected to the main power system. So even that kind of regulatory changes took like 1 or 2 years to figure out how to rewrite the policies, how to allow renewable energy to fit into the typical electric grid. And for the COP29 outcome, obviously it's not a big win because we're falling way short of the $1 trillion target by the less developed countries. And one thing that I have sort of gotten insight from a recent consulting project that I'm working on is that it seems that the climate world is getting more polarized now, with the US withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, like very likely withdrawing from the Paris Agreement. So this year we're seeing very low participation level of the US government or US official pavilion in the COP venue itself. And also there's increasing segregation between the least developed countries, G7, G7 plus China, and the more developed countries. And NGOs are also using a very strong term, like for instance, they may be completely switching off or walking out from negotiation rooms if the trillion target is not met. So in the end, there's no way to meet midway to get a more agreeable target. So at the end, we only got 300 billion, and a lot of people were very dissatisfied. And so some things that the civil society has been calling for is that we need more inclusive dialogue, more targeted dialogue to local country contexts, instead of telling rich countries that it's your responsibility to pay up. So this year, the slogan of the civil society of CAN, Climate Action Network, is that rich countries need to pay up because you cause all these damages. But instead, maybe you need to find more synergies with local contexts. Like, for example, in the US, they had the Inflation Reduction Bill by the Biden government, which was quite successful. Although it's called inflation reduction, it was essentially moving money towards renewable projects, moving money towards projects that can support the green transition. But we frame it a different way in a language that local people would absorb, telling them green jobs create a lot of economic opportunities. It creates more benefits, it creates investment return. And these are the languages that rich countries want to listen to if they really need to pay up. So I think it's also time for this language change and narrative change, not just the hard advocacy or campaigning effort that proved successful in the past, but may not be successful in the future with the ever fragmenting geopolitical space that we're facing.
Very good. Thank you very much. I guess as we have a few minutes probably left. Do you have anything you want to discuss? Do you have, especially from the online audience, do you have any question you want to ask, especially to the entire panel? You're strongly encouraged to just unmute yourself and start talking. So I want to conclude this today with a question. Because we have so the first forum last year is we had a lot more speakers, and this year we decided not to. So we have been chatting with Dr. Fu. As we said, this year we decided to have fewer speakers, and every speaker has more time. We have more discussion. So this is a strategy we have been using in this year. So we only got only a few speakers to the panel discussion. So as a COP29, of course, is one of the big events in this year. And of course, 2025, we're entering 2025 in 10 days, 11 days, in a sense. But 2025, of course, is full of uncertainties. We are so anxious to understand, to try to know what will happen next year. A lot of things may happen, and hopefully a lot of other things do not happen. So to answer is that we have our anxieties towards the new year. So from this one, so I just want to ask the panelists and also the audience, so what do you feel about 2025? So out of this COP29 and facing this Trump 2.0, so we also face a lot of other challenges. So I wanted to give me your understanding. So how, if you range from hope to despair. So hope, let's say, is 10, despair is 0. So what is the rating of 2025 on climate change? Shall we go around and let's take a rating?
Yeah, this is challenging, but of course we know how tough it is, but I still want to give 8. Yeah, remain to be hopeful.
Okay, great. 8. Then points Mr. Martin, if 8. Amos?
Definitely 7.5.
7.5. So
Yes.
it's more hope. Good.
Yeah.
So what is your rating of 2025?
We take 7.5.
7.5. Okay, still a lot more hope. So go just go around. And go around. Go ahead. 7. Okay.
6.
6.
7.
7. Okay, more hope.
7 depends on what we do.
Okay.
Yeah, 7.5.
Okay. 10.5.
If there wasn't Trump, then 8, but
Alright, so we have to get to reality and talk about reality.
probably 6.5.
Okay, 6.5.
8.
8. Okay, very hopeful.
6.
6. Okay. 6.5.
8.
8. Hopefully.
No expert in this, but I just come here to support my student from Myae Sun College. Because Natalie's from there too. College motto is perseverance. I would at least have to give 7.5.
7.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Give 6.5.
Okay.
I give 6
6.
because I've been to the many cops, fighting, talking, no actions. And somehow I'm a little bit disappointed. If for talking about domestic issue, domestic and climate actions in China, I would give 9.5. But for US, maybe 5. Okay. So it's a complicated word, polarized as early our speakers mentioned, but it's hard to see put all of them together for the world. I just give 6.
Okay.
Students complain that I'm a strict teacher. Usually, I would give no more than 6. Next year would be COP 30. 30 we met 25, 29 times. We still couldn't come to the consensus. So 6 is the most I can do.
Okay, great. So for the online audiences, what's your rating of 2025? Can you just pretend you can just type your number in the chat box, then we can see. So what's your rating of 2025? We have more hope or we have more despair? Full of hope is 10, full of despair is 0. Okay, no, so then we can basically conclude. Basically, 3. We have 3. 3. Okay, you have 3. So that's the most despair part of all the ratings we have received so far. Yeah, so of course, so we have all the ratings ourselves. So in 2025, it's another very challenging year ahead, and we said we're going to have a lot of big decisions to make. next year. And, but as Katie also mentioned that we all have a role to play, no matter who we are, small, big, but we all have a role to play in next year. And when we are heading to New Year for 2025 in 11 days, listeners, so let's still have hope to do our bit. Of course, we cannot achieve this carbon neutrality. We cannot save climate change. It's a climate issues just in one move, but we need the cooperation among all people, all countries, all companies, all sectors. So that's the thing. So of course now we have 9 here. Good. That's the most hopeful rating for today. So this is very good. So now we have a whole range of things. So it's just, to conclude, let's stay hopeful. Let's work together and take actions and let's do something for 2025. Thank you very much for participating in this full day forum. Hopefully I will see you next year in the third forum. Thank you very much. Thanks for the audience online. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.